Jackson Radio Show.
Greetings and salutations. You are tuning in to the Kevin Jackson Show, and I am subbing in for the great Kevin Jackson today. This is Brett Siegel, the Disgruntled Millennial. You can catch me at Shaq General on Twitter. You can catch me on Facebook at the Disgruntled Millennial. That's 2 L's and 2 N's in Millennial. And I always broadcast to you live from my safe space down here in Northern Florida, where I'm free from your bigotry, racism, hatred, microaggressions, homophobia, sexism, and patriarchy. And today we were just a few minutes ago, we were talking about Father's Day. We were talking about Father's Day, or as many feminists want to change it to, they want to change it to Special Persons Day, because fathers display toxic masculinity. And of course, a father had to have sex with a woman, or there had to be some sort of in vitro kind of thing going on. But either way, you need the man in the equation in order to have kids. Therefore, fathers are important. They have implicit value. Without fathers, needless to say, the feminists aren't attacking Mother's Day, so let's just talk about fathers for a second, because of course, without mothers, there wouldn't be human existence. But guess what? Without fathers, there wouldn't be any human existence either. Now, this sad, pathetic, disgusting, grotesque attempt for feminists to alter the course of Western civilization by destroying one of its fundamental pillars, one of the pillars that holds the entire thing together. They're trying to diminish the value of the family. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to diminish the value of the family by taking fathers out of the equation. Now, to me, it's absolutely disgusting. Because I didn't grow up with a father. My father died when I was 6 years old from hemophilia-related AIDS. AIDS back in the 1980s, which was a death sentence. Magic Johnson is still kicking because luckily for him, he had the best medicine, he had the best doctors. But back in the 1980s, if you were diagnosed with AIDS, that was a literal death sentence. How many of you have actually had to go through the trauma of making your own funeral plans? Of picking out your own casket? Would you like to pick out your own casket, or would you want your family to pick out your own casket for you? My father picked out his own casket when he was 35 years old. 35 years old. I am turning 35 in October. I am turning 35. I will be as old as my father was when he died in October. But no, he wasn't my father. He was just a special person. He didn't inseminate my mom with his semen. He's just a special person. Now, if you're trying to change the name of Father's Day to Special Persons Day for people like me, so that people like me who grew up without a father could feel more included, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Trying to convince me that growing up without a father was just some great, awesome thing, and that, you could just interchange. He was totally interchangeable with any other special person. Of course, I'm doing the air quotes here. You can't see the air quotes, but I'm doing air quotes. Special person? As if you could just replace your father? As if you could replace the time and energy that a father puts into the family? No, you can't. Thankfully, my father left a really nice life insurance policy because, that's what fathers do. They protect their kids. This toxic masculinity that all these lesbian, feminist, intersectional feminist crapheads are always talking about. This is what keeps you alive. This is what keeps you protected. Now, in the 1980s, my father was one of the few straight men that contracted AIDS. And, people in school used to say, oh, Brett, when they were being cruel, oh, Brett, your dad got AIDS from butt sex. When they were trying to be cruel and stuff. No. In actuality, my father was a hemophiliac. He had a blood disorder that's passed on through the mother. He had a blood disorder that when you and I, we go out and we do normal things, we bump ourselves, we go on with our day, we put a little Band-Aid on. No, my father couldn't do that because hemophiliacs, they continue to bleed. Their clotting agent, the blood clot agent where most of us would develop a scab, well, hemophiliac keeps bleeding. So when something happens to a hemophiliac and they need to stop the bleeding, they get these blood transfusions. Now, in the 1980s, they didn't screen for AIDS. when people were donating blood. So you have these IV drug users and these homosexuals donating blood. They did not screen for AIDS, and then they injected my father. These blood companies injected my father with AIDS virus, and the rest is history. We sued the blood company, but we didn't win. At the time, there was a big stigma about the AIDS virus because guess what? It just so happens when you are homosexual and you go into a bathroom and you stick your wiener into a bathroom stall hole and just put it in whatever hole is on the other side, that is dangerous behavior. That is the kind of behavior that spreads disease. Now, if you're sick, you don't just go out and breathe on people. Same thing with AIDS, right? You don't just go out and let people plug your hole or whatever. So when a straight man came down with AIDS at that time, it was crazy. So several news stations actually covered my father because one of the things that my mom and dad tried to do was to raise awareness about AIDS. They didn't take this tragic news and just say, okay, well, they throw in the white towel and decide to die in shame and solitude and sadness. No, what they did was they took their message to the community. My father basically outed himself in the 80s as a man who had AIDS, and he brought awareness to the community about the AIDS virus and to help people understand that while by and large homosexuals are the ones who have AIDS, it can affect anyone. It's a human virus. It's a virus that affects all human beings. And they paved the way for research. They paved the way for awareness. They paved the way for education in schools. My father did this, not my special person. Not my special person, my father, my dad. Now, the fact that he's gone doesn't make him any less my dad. I happen to have a really, really wonderful keepsake that I'd like to play for you. It's my dad. They were being covered by PBS Channel 2. It was a show called Montage, and I think you'll get a small kick out of this. This is back in 1986.
Ed, I first met this young Miami suburban couple while I was covering testimony before the Presidential Commission on AIDS back in November. And what I saw and heard that day convinced me that this was a story that really needed to be shared with South Florida.
My name is Doug Siegel. I'm 35 years old. I've been married for almost 6 years. I have 3 small preschool children. I am a hemophiliac, and I have AIDS.
My name is Ellen Buckstell Siegel. I'm Doug's wife. I'm his friend and his lover. I do not have AIDS, nor do I test positive for the AIDS antibodies. Our children do not have AIDS, nor do they test positive.
What must it be like to know you're going to die? What is it like not to be able to make plans? To know everything important in your life will continue without you? When Doug Siegel went to his doctor complaining of fatigue and fever, he says the doctor's words came out one at a time, in slow motion, like a bad dream.
The doctor diagnosed me with having AIDS-related complex, which is AIDS with the exception that I had not had an opportunistic infection yet. The reaction was, we were kind of stunned because he said what he told us to do was make contingency plans and hope for the best.
Make contingency plans and hope for the best. A death sentence. Wow. That's my dad. Watching that always makes me well up a little bit. My dad, not my special person. Of course, this was back in the 1980s when none of this intersectional feminism crap had taken hold. And dads were actually seen to be as a little bit important in the lives of their children. Who'd have thunk, right? Who'd have thunk that 2 people get together, make new human beings, and that the union of those 2 people together actually may mean something? Now, I'm willing to bet that if my father contracted AIDS in 2017, the feminists would be out there saying, good, another cis white man dies. Now, I celebrate my dad's life every single day of the year. Every single day of my life, I celebrate my father's life. I don't need a day to tell me when and who to celebrate. But let's not pretend that turning Father's Day into Special Persons Day is more inclusive, because guess what? That's not inclusive of me. Because I want Father's Day. I want to remember my father. I want to feel the void. I want to honor him by feeling the void of his absence. How does that not make sense to you intersectional feminists? Seriously. I mean, you've clearly never gone through anything traumatic in your entire life. And instead of dealing with your own damn neuroses, you want to take it out on Western civilization. You want to take it out on every person who has a dad, which is every person. Sick. It's disgusting. Here's my dad / special person talking about what it was like planning his own funeral.
That's one of the problems that I have dealing with death dealing with my death, is that time and life goes on. You know, I am here now. One day I won't be here. But my children are still going to go to school. Ellen is still going to work. Life is going to go on. And the time, and I think it bothers me that I won't be here to participate.
Happy Special Persons Day. We'll be right back.
Kevin Jackson
on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.